The tool I used last time was pretty effective, was a bread knife. I am admitting defeat. Oh my god, they look amazing. So if you've seen my previous video about these RCC seats, you'll know that I had two issues with them. Really well made, grip you really well, but they just didn't have the lumbar support in the kind of lumbar area of your back, and also they were reclined too far back, and they're obviously just a one-piece seat and not adjustable. So I've been just giving them another shot and seeing if I can address those issues myself. So first thing I did was to basically add some spacers to the rear of the rail here. So I've kept the stock rails so you can still slide it forward and back, but it arched the whole chair up that way. The second option is to look at the lumbar support, and I came across this item online. So it is a Momo car seat waist support. This was actually really reasonably priced. It's kind of got this fake carbon, fake leather effect, which I'm not crazy about, but it does have the Momo logo, which matches my Momo steering wheel, which also has a yellow Momo logo. So when I put this in, I'll show you what it looks like. There's kind of like this elastic that can wrap around the back of the chair and keep it in place, but I'm going to ignore that for a moment. It fits in there quite well. The width is perfect for it. It's made of a kind of a memory foam, and I just have a lot of kind of give in it. But the issue is it's basically too deep. You sit into the chair and you lose all the effect of the side bolstering to hold you in place, so it's kind of pointless. So what I'm thinking of doing is, there is a zip here, and you can take out the padding inside, this memory foam padding, and I might do similar to what I did on my MX-5, a foamectomy. Cut the padding maybe in half, cut the back half off it, and then put it back in and see if it works. As I say, this was only maybe 20 or 30 pounds sterling, so pretty reasonable. So I'm willing to experiment with it and cut it up. Okay, so that's what we're working with. It's flat on the back. So I'm thinking I will just cut this back part off. As I say, I've done this once before on MX-5 seats, just to lower the seat pan down. And the tool I used last time was pretty effective, was a bread knife. So I'm going to go with that. As you can see, it gives a pretty clean cut. And there it is in two pieces. Time to put it in the car and test it out. Not sure about this. I'm losing that kind of side to side bolstering, particularly where it holds it here on your ribs. There's a bit there, but when you take it out completely, it just holds you in so much better. It's just in the lumbar support of my back that what I might try is to take this cover off and just use the foam on its own, just to see what kind of shape fits, because this is obviously, the cover is too large now. It's definitely grabbing me in the lower back area. It's taking a tiny bit away from here. I think overall that's a good compromise. It seems like taking this off makes it fit better. So because it's memory foam, it seems quite large when you sit in first, but as your body sinks into it, it conforms to your body and holds you quite well. So I guess the question will be, this is probably the right shape, but how do I make this look pretty? So this is the fabric that I'm going to use for the cushion for the seat. As you can see, it's kind of a linen kind of a colour. It's a mix of cotton, linen and polyester. So it's mostly synthetic. And what I'm going to try and do is to dye this a grey colour. So it's a closer match to the car's interior. And this is the dye I'm going to use. I'm not looking for it to be a perfect match, just a bit closer. So time to don the rubber gloves and get started. Okay, so here's the final result after the dyeing. It's still very wet. It looks pitch black at the moment, so either I've completely overdone it or else it's going to dry a bit lighter, which I'm hoping. So I do have a second piece of material that's around the same size. I cut it in half essentially. So if I totally mess this up, I can try it again, and I only used half the dye. So time to hang up the washing. I'll check on this in the morning. Okay, it's the next day now and I can clearly see that I've completely overdone the dye. It is almost black. You can barely make out that zebra print pattern, so it's a good thing I have another one of these, and I'll put in some less dye this time around, maybe boil it for less time as well, and hopefully the second one comes out better. So I am admitting defeat. I have been running this seat now for a few weeks, just driving it as much as possible, and I put in this kind of temporary cushion here before I had the other one reupholstered. And although it is better than it used to be, the driving angle is much improved. It just isn't comfortable for me on longer drives, and I'm going to go back to the stock seat. I am also going to take out the Acuity shifter bushings that I had installed and put back in the stock ones. While they work excellently when the gearbox is warm and gives a much more precise shift, when it's cold it can be just a bit notchy, and again, I just don't like it. So I might as well be honest about all these mods that I'm doing in case you're interested in doing them as well. They do have their place, but in the case of the shifter bushing and seat, I think they're more suited to somebody who's doing more track work than daily driving. You might have seen in previous videos that I stripped out a lot of parts out of the car, like the air conditioning and stereo and a few bits and pieces like that, just to try and get the weight down as low as possible. So after that experiment was finished, I decided what I wanted to keep and what I wanted to leave out, and I did end up putting the stereo back in. Speakers that I have in here are not the original ones. They were some Pioneer ones that I had bought, but they are terrible. I know you're never going to have great audio conditions in a convertible. Obviously a lot of wind noise, tire noise, knocks and rattles and everything, but there is one particular speaker that comes recommended on some of the Beat Facebook groups, which is a kicker one. So I'm going to take out these cheap Pioneer ones and put in a better quality one. And here is the adapter ring, which I've just 3D printed. This file is available on Thingiverse. It was created by one of the Beat owners. So thanks again for that. I'll put a link down in the description for this if you want. This basically just makes it easier to install. It's a step I didn't bother doing last time. But it changes the speakers, which have a 4-screw layout, to the Beat's 3-screw layout, which is kind of a weird PCD. So pretty sturdy unit, should make it a lot easier. Okay, and the speakers have arrived. These are Kicker, they're called a CSC67, and basically it's a 6 3/4 inch speaker. You can also fit a 6.5 inch speaker. There's another version of this called the CSC65, will also fit. I'm just going to fit these rings before I try and fit it to the car. It fits into this bezeled ring here. There's a nut and bolt to hold it to the ring. Okay, it's all bolted up now and ready to fit to the car. So here's the old Pioneer speaker alongside the new Kicker. As you can see, they are both pretty much identical in their depth, which is important because the Beat doesn't have very deep doors. The diameter is the same, they're 6 3/4 inch, both of them. But the foam surround on this just seems to be a bit more chunky than this cheaper Pioneer, which is very flexible. On the back side, you can see that the magnet design is a bit different. It just looks a bit chunkier, as well as the cage itself seems a lot more heavy duty on the Kicker. So I'll be interested to see if that actually makes a difference or not. So that's it all bolted up now. Back using the stock mounting screws again, which is much better, more secure. Let's see how it sounds. So here's my conclusions on these Kicker CSC67s. They don't actually have any more bass than the other Pioneers that I had, which I wasn't really expecting, but they have far better mid-range and high end, so a much cleaner, crisper sound. They're not that expensive, so I'm pretty happy with it. If you're obsessed with wheels like me and want to get some sweet t-shirts or hoodies, check out jazztheshop.com, where we've got hundreds of wheel designs. To get a chunky discount, use this coupon code JAZZDA-YouTube. You won't regret it. These are some of the colours and finishes that are available here at Rim Solutions. This will be the third set of wheels that I'm getting done here. So for these Watanabes, I'm thinking of going with this bronze, which they call a Renault Mocha. Does seem to have a good amount of flake in it. Another option with these Rotor Bronze. I just think it's a bit too bright. Well, I've got the wheels back from the powder coater and oh my god, they look amazing. So happy with them. Can't wait to get them on the car. So these wheels have been sitting here ready to go on the car for almost 3 months now. And the reason for that is that I've been waiting on the center caps. So it's pretty cool that you can still get the center caps for a wheel this old. They're probably maybe 25 years old or something like that. Made in Japan. There is only one Watanabe factory. But the issue is that, you know, it's a fairly small business as far as I'm aware. And if you order parts like that, they may need to be made as opposed to sitting there on the shelf. So it's great that you can get the part, but patience is required. I was holding off to get the center caps before putting them on the car. So I've never actually seen them on the car when they're painted. And if I had known that they would take this long, you know, it's almost 3 months from when I ordered those center caps, I probably would have designed something up and 3D printed it and whatever, but you know, I'm in this deep now, so I might as well wait for them. But I'm sick of waiting to see what they look like on the car, so I'm going to put them on today. And here's the result. So something I thought I'd mention here is that when I had these mini wheels on, I hadn't actually realised I had a square setup front and rear, and also the height of the tyre was the same front and rear as well. But the Beat comes with 13 on the front and 14-inch wheels on the rear. And I thought the rolling radius was the same for both ends, but it's actually not. So I've corrected that with this set of wheels. So these are 14s on front and rear. They're 165 width on the front and rear, but they are a 55 profile on the front and a 60 on the rear. So 165, 55, 14, 165, 60, 14 on the rear. So slightly taller on the rear. It does also mean that the arch gap on the both ends is now the same, whereas it used to be a bit tighter on the front than the rear, and that's just because I was running too tall of a tyre basically. It really doesn't make much of a difference, but if you're going to be picky about it, there you go. One big benefit of running these Watanabe wheels is I was able to run no spacer at all. I had been running just a 3mm spacer on these mini wheels, which isn't too bad, but obviously where you can run no spacer, it's better. So happy about that. I have no idea how long I'm going to be waiting for these center caps. So rather than wait for another couple of months to put out this video, I'm just going to put it out now, and I'll give an update later on when the caps do eventually arrive. If I didn't know better, I would swear that these wheels were designed for the Beat. They fit so perfectly. They were probably for an MX-5 back in the day, but the fitment is just excellent. Just tucked inside the arches, doesn't touch anywhere. Offsets are perfect. I'm extremely happy with these. Alright, that's me signing off. Slán.